Welcome to the Courage Barbell Unlimited podcast with your host, legendary powerlifter and strength athlete, Chad Ikes. For most, the journey of strength starts in the gym, but should inevitably expand through all aspects of life. Join us as we discuss all things strength. Now, here's your host, Chad Ikes.
Two subjects that kind of are interwoven in my mind. I've been thinking about these for a few days and thought I'm going to just get this down, record it, see where it goes. As you know, I like shooting from the seat of my pants, so to speak. Number one, there is no one way. This actually goes for a lot of different things in life, but I'm specifically talking more about fitness, health, and strength right now. An easy example is I grew up in the Midwest, and I did my family's blue collar, so I was doing working with my dad and doing some construction stuff when I was a kid. When I moved out here, I immediately started working with my brother. And jumped on a crew building some duplexes out here within like a week of being here. And there's houses that have been up forever in the Midwest. There's houses that have been up forever out here, but it's interesting to see the differences going from the Midwest to the West Coast. And they still built good houses. Everybody's still living in them. The houses that we built 20 or 30 years ago are still standing just fine. But there was different ways of getting there. And you get on social media now, or you start researching, and I can understand how it's difficult for people to get it. I can understand how people get so frustrated they just quit. I even believe Dorian Yates, I saw a video of Dorian Yates talking about this the other day. There's so many people that want to be right. They have to be right. They have to put on this persona that they know everything and they have the answers. And I'm here to tell you, when somebody comes to me and goes, I know how to do this. I know how to make you lose weight. I know how to get you lean. I know how to put muscle on you. Like, this is the way to do it. And they act like they know the only one way to do it. I definitely walk away, and I would recommend you walk away. It's the coach that goes, I've been doing this for a long time. I've done it with a lot of different people. I've done it myself. And I can do it for you, but it's going to be a process because we got to learn what works best for you. That's the coach that I would go, okay, let's talk. Let's see what we can do with this. Because there is no one perfect. And my biggest non-scientific blue-collar argument towards this, if there was one program, if there was one nutritional plan, if there was the one that works the best, why then do we have so many? If there was a nutrition plan that worked, why would we keep coming out with other nutrition plans? There would be no need for it. There would be the one plan. Everyone knows it works. If you want to lose weight, this is what you do. Done. Here you go. So even now, if I could come up with the one program that works for everybody, hands down, I'd be a millionaire. And all the other programs would just fade away. So that tells me that there is no one. On top of that, I've been in competitions with the best in the world. I was friends with all the other best in the world. I got to talk to all the other best in the world. We all did things different. So if there is one right way to do it, how come the top 20 guys in the world don't do the same stuff? They do something similar. They don't do the same stuff. If there's one way, why is that? Then again, I'm going to break this down into all the parts as a whole. There's so many different moving parts in every single person that you have to put these all together in the right way. And so I think there are basic rules to follow. And I think one of the things we get caught up in is we get caught up in the idea that a human being is a human being. Well, they're all the same. No, no, none of us look exactly the same, minus the weird doppelganger cases. We all look different. We all speak different. We all have different fingerprints. We all have different voices. We do a lot of the retinal scans because we have different eyes. We have different mentalities. If we were all the same, why would we have Republicans and Democrats? Why would we have all these different theories? Because we're not the same. And this is hugely broad in our mentalities, which your mentality plays a huge, massive role in fitness and in strength and health. We know through studies and some studies that are actually good out there that the mind plays a critical role in everything that goes on in the body. Now, and you break this down into the physiological. Yeah, we can go, yes, basically we know how the heart pumps blood. We know how the skin heals and repairs itself. We know what happens when you have a stroke in your brain. But there's all these other things that the human body does that we don't know. We found evidence to prove that something is going on, but we don't know how. Take, for example, people that have organ transplants. There's people that had an organ transplant and started doing things that they never did before. Like there was one case where the lady started doing woodworking and she didn't know anything about doing woodworking, but she gets this organs transplant and all of a sudden she has this urge to like start working on wood. And she finds out she just knows all this stuff. Then she finds out the person she got the transplant from, his big hobby was woodworking. So somehow memories are getting stored other places than the brain, but we don't understand why or how. So there's a lot that goes on in the body that we don't know. Even the redundancy of the body. There's a lot of times that people go through things that science says, no, you can't do that, but they get through it. And we do know that the body, it has redundancy even down to our DNA. So if part of your DNA may be messed up, there's a redundancy somewhere in there that explains how it's done correctly. And so we know one of the theories when I had, before I ever started on steroids, I was super insane strong. Probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest drug-free lifter in the world at the time. I got low testosterone. My doctor happened to be a master's Highland game thrower, and he knew how strong I was. And I said, how can I be this strong with testosterone levels this low? He didn't know. He couldn't explain it. All he knew is that he tested me and retested me, and this is the fact. And then we went on testosterone, and bam, everything all of a sudden started improving as far as the issues that I first went in for. Then I had a friend of mine who was talking to, he's very intelligent, knows a lot of intelligent people. And we started talking to some of his friends that are professors and stuff. And they were explaining how maybe somehow my muscles or somehow my body went, hey, he's not producing testosterone this way, but he needs testosterone. So maybe on a cellular level, I started producing testosterone. We know this with the placebo effects in the studies in the medical community, where we give people a sugar pill and we tell them it's this pill and it's going to do this. All of a sudden their body starts producing that and they get the same result as the people who are actually taking the medication. How the hell does that happen? That tells me that our body is capable of doing wondrous things that we have no idea what's actually going on, which tells me all individuals, we don't know. We think physiology is the same and it's probably similar, but it's still different. And if you have that difference, and if you have a mentality that has such impact on everything, how can you say that there's one program that works or there's one diet that works? In the words of Stan Efferding, who came out with the vertical diet, which I'm really that's my favorite nutritional plan is the vertical diet. He said the best nutritional plan you can have is the one you'll stick to. And I say the same thing when it comes to the weight training program. Like the best weight training program is the one that you're going to stick to and you're going to enjoy. If you absolutely hate it, it's only going to last so long. So I may think one program is better, but to be quite honestly, if you have a better mentality on this other one, you're probably going to see better results. And I still go back to the one thing, the one common ground of all the greatest athletes that I've met is they have a very similar mentality. They're very positive people. They don't listen to anyone else and they push forward no matter what. So perfect. The one perfect program, the one perfect nutritional plan is the one that works for you. Yeah, there's a perfect nutritional plan. The one that works for you. That's the one. That's the perfect one. The one for you that works for you. And that's going to change too. Because when you're 20, your body's a whole lot different than when it's 50. When you have 2 kids, a low-paying job, and you're dealing with stress all the time, that's going to be everything's going to work differently than later in life when you're more established and more set up and you have more energy and time to focus into your training and your results. So there really is no perfect. And I know people want to feel this and people want to know that. The reason there's so much money in personal training is because a lot of people, and keep in mind that I'm generalizing here, there's always outliers. People want to go to a trainer and be told what to do. And I actually train some trainers and we talk about this and they're like, yeah, I'm just, for a lot of my clients, because the people I train want to excel in a sport. So they come to me to excel in whatever sport they've chosen. The people that they train are usually like high-end businessmen or housewives or just people that are looking for quality of life. And it's a little bit different type of training, mostly in how much effort and stuff they want to put in. But a lot of those people will talk about how they're just a check mark. They're like, I'm a check mark. Somebody told this guy or his family told him, you need to pay attention to your health because we want you to be around a long time. Okay, I'll get a trainer. Well, it's just a check mark. Yeah, I went to the trainer today. Check that off. Okay, now we got to go back to work and we got this stuff. And you're just a check mark on a list. And to a lot of people, that's what health is, that they want to go in and be told what to do. And that's fine. If you admit that that's it and you're like, hey, I'm not looking to make any major changes. I'm looking to live an extra 20 years. I'm looking to have my health be better as I get older. Okay, that's easy to do. That's not a super strict diet. That's paying attention to your nutrition. That's getting some exercise in. That's cool. If that's what you want, that's cool. That's easy. But a lot of people who want to actually excel, you have to invest in yourself. It's not about coming in and just being told what to do, because there is no one right or wrong. There's multiple ways to do it, and what is the best way for you. So your coach needs to get feedback from you. They need you to understand certain things. They need to know that even though you're in the gym this many hours a week, you're actually following their programs, their nutritional programs, their flexibility programs, their GPP programs. They need to know honestly what you're actually doing. And in order for that feedback to be the best, you have to have some understanding. And no matter how good a coach they are, they cannot know everything that you could know in your own body. So if you're serious about your training and your goals, you can't just have someone tell you what to do. You need to actually learn. You need to put some study in. You need to put some thought in. You need to put some communication in. And you need to be a team with that coach. That actually is a very important relationship. The athlete-coach relationship is very important. And it has a lot to do with communication, mentality. It's got a lot to do with knowing when one is up and one are down, and being able to help pick that person up during those times. Now moving on to part 2 of this. If you want to be better in any part of your life, if you want to be closer to enlightenment, if you want to have a better relationship, if you want to be a better entrepreneur and grow a business, if you want to get really lean, if you want to get really strong, if you want to step on stage or you want to compete at a sport, anytime you want to push yourself as hard as you can and be your best, you're going to have to go through a period of loneliness. This is because most people don't want to do that. No, I shouldn't say that. Most people do want to do it, but they don't want to put the work in to do it. So it's really hard for people to see someone around them stay disciplined and push themselves and strive for better when they can't get themselves to do it. Now, again, this is a generalization. I see this happen a lot, and I see it hold a lot of people back when they need to learn to accept that this is going to happen and move forward. But there are outliers. I've interviewed a bunch of great athletes on this podcast, and some of them were fortunate enough to find a group when they were very young of very intelligent, very driven, very secure lifters. So right from the beginning, they're surrounding themselves with the top guys and the guys that are so secure that they're pushing them to be better and really honestly want them to be better. So they always have these people around them that are successful and trying to lift everyone up. But that's rare. And from my experience and what I've seen, it's very rare. What happens is, let's use the example of the person trying to get off alcohol. There's a reason they have AA, and there's a reason they have regular meetings. And there's a reason you find, I can't remember what they call it, but you have like your guy that helps you through it that you can call anytime. And there's a reason you go through different groups and find the group kind of where you fit in. If you go to the bar every night and you go to the bar and you're like, hey, my wife's telling me I'm drinking too much and I'm getting out of hand, they're going to be like, no, that's bullshit. You're fine. Because they don't want to stand up and realize it, because that would turn it back on themselves. And they don't have the willpower to change. They don't want to change. They're fine with their drunk life and just getting by. So if you come in and you're going, hey, no, you guys can drink if you want, but I choose not to drink because I'm trying to get my life together and I'm trying to do this. You're not being an asshole or a jerk, but they're going to take it like you are. And so this is the same thing with training in a gym. And I see this in a lot of different gyms where you go in and everybody's kind of rah, 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 but they're all doing the same stuff. They're all cheering everybody on, even when it looks like shit, even when they're struggling with a weight they shouldn't struggle with. They just cheer it on, and nobody ever says, hey, this is wrong, that's wrong. But if you go to a big name, a big gym that has tons of really good lifters, that's a whole different story. Like, you go in there and people are driving each other and pushing each other, and people, they don't know. It's not about you just getting a weight, man. You got to get your technique right. You got to do this. Yeah, you got the weight. That's cool. But this was shit and this was shit and this was shit, and you need to fix it. That's because those people actually care, and they want to raise that whole gym up. They want to raise that whole tide so all the ships are up. But what happens is, I think a lot of people get into lifting and they kind of find a family and they find a place where they fit in. And that's cool. That's fine. If that's what you're trying to do, if that's what you're looking for, great. Because at least you're getting some exercise in, you're training, you're doing some good stuff. You're probably getting some positive emotions out of it. You're getting a sense of family and people around you. But do those people really care for you? Or is it just kind of a thing? And this is, I'm probably going to catch a bunch of crap for this. Like, I'm kind of antisocial, so I just don't spend a lot of time with people. And there's a lot of people that I care about, but I don't see them that much because I don't know, it's just me. Still, if they call or they do anything, I will do that. I've seen so many powerlifting groups that just once somebody isn't competing anymore, they just fade away and they don't stay in contact. Where my team, I'm still in contact with my team. I still talk to them, maybe not a lot because they have kids and lives, but I'm at least following them. And when we see each other, we have a great time and we catch up. And we might try to plan dinners or hanging out or something like that. And there's still a lot of camaraderie there and caring for how that they're doing in life and what's going on and how their kids are doing. Because we were family. We really cared about each other, even though people were scared of us and people thought, man, those guys must hate each other because they're not rah rah all the time. They're telling each other what's wrong and what they need to fix. Like, God, why would you do that? Well, we did that because we cared, because I expected them to do well. If they were going to come in there and put in this work and this time, I want them to get the biggest return that they can get. So I think what happens is some lifters go to the gym and they get caught in this trap of it becoming like a family, but it's a dysfunctional family. It's not a family that cares. And then you kind of get, I think it kind of evolves, and that's the atmosphere, and people are like, oh, well, that's the atmosphere it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be rah rah. We're not supposed to say what's wrong. We're supposed to only say what's right. And we're supposed to be super, super positive all the time. And no, are you there to get better or not? Like, do you think I want to rip on people all the time? No, I would rather have you come in and kick ass. And every day I get to go, damn, awesome job, man. Perfect. But I'm not going to do that if you're not doing an awesome, perfect job, because I actually want you to get better. So I'm going to play the stern father and let you know what's really going on. And if I set the team up correctly, then there will be members that will play more of that. Hey, you still did a good job. It's better than last time. You're getting there. Just keep plugging it away. So you have that balance. But a lot of times there is not, that stern is not there. And people want to go, oh, it's just about getting stronger. It's just about getting stronger. You just got to train really, really hard. And they don't do anything to actually get better. So there's this whole atmosphere of that, which drives me crazy, because I know people are working hard. If you're going to go in there and work hard and you tell me that you want to be the best you can be, and you tell me I want to get that state record, or I want to go to nationals, well, then why aren't you training like you want to? Why are you just going in and training hard with like no purpose? Like, you're training physically hard, but you're not training your mind. You're not training with intent. You're not training your technique. You're not training your flex. You're just going in and lifting heavy stuff. That's not a big deal to me. So, I mean, and if that's what you want to do, hey, I'm all for it, man. But just tell me, hey, I just want to go lift heavy. I really don't give two shits about the rest of it. Like, I'm not even going to compete. I just want to lift heavy, and I want to get physically stronger. But if I never lift what I'm capable of, that's cool. I'm good with it. You got to understand that most of my career in lifting, before powerlifting, I did that. I lifted because that's how I kept my sanity. I lifted because that's how I dealt with all of my other issues in life. So I went in and tested myself every single day. I didn't spend a lot of time learning technique. I knew like some bodybuilding stuff. I knew the muscles I wanted to work, but I really didn't get that deep into it. I trained every day to deal with my anger. But that, I totaled 1,700 my first meet. I was benching 400 pounds in the gym before I ever even thought about powerlifting. I was squatting and pulling 600. That was just me going to the gym and just beating the shit out of myself. Like, so those numbers weren't that great, but what did I do? I went to the gym and beat the crap out of myself. How are my numbers going to be great if that's all I do? Then when I got into powerlifting, I decided and was confronted basically that, do you want to keep beating the crap out of yourself, or do you actually want to be good at this? And then I had to stop lifting to deal with my issues, and I had to deal with my issues on my own, and then change how I was looking at lifting. And it was a really awesome thing to do because it helped me in life so much, but it sent me down these other paths. It forced me to go down these other paths and to learn so much more. Like, I actually got to use my brain. So now I'm using my brain and my body, and I'm excelling, and I become one of the best in powerlifting because of this. If I would have kept training the way I was training, this never would have happened. Now, when I started making this transition, it was interesting because I pretty much trained like everyone else. And everyone else was like, hey, cool, Chad. Everybody got along. And eventually I decided, I started looking around, and because I had all these ideas through physical therapy, through throwing, then I'm like, man, I feel like I'm getting slower. This doesn't make sense. I need to be training more explosion. Man, I got to stay flexible too. Cause if I can't hit positions, but I looked at that time out when I was new into it, I looked around and I go, but nobody else is doing this. I go, I must be wrong. I had no confidence in myself. I went, nah, those ideas must not work because nobody's doing them. And eventually I looked around and I'm like, wait a minute, Chad, why are you following all these guys? None of these guys are where you want to be. These are like, some of these guys are like state level guys. Like nobody's really going to a big nationals. Nobody's in the top 25. Like, why are you even like giving any thought to what these guys are doing at all? And then I started researching better guys, started learning all this different stuff. And ironically, the stuff that I'm learning is stuff that I had already thought about. I didn't necessarily put it together in the package that they had put it together, but it was stuff that I'm like, holy crap, I was right. Like I do need to work speed too. Force equals mass times acceleration. Like, why did I ever question myself? And so I started incorporating these things. And then as you do this, it's interesting to see in the gym how people start reacting to you and treating you. And I like to think I'm a pretty nice person. I think I'm a really good person. So, I'm always willing to help people. I'm always willing to ask questions. I'm never a jerk to other lifters in the gym. So, everybody always treated me pretty good from my perspective. And I was always willing to help anybody. I would go to meets and help people if they didn't have a handler or something. Anything I could do. So people always treated me pretty good, but you could kind of see a change when I started training differently than everyone else, and then when I started doing better than everyone else. And like people would kind of come up and ask, hey, what are you doing that for? Why are you doing that? And I explained it to them and they're like, yeah, that won't work for me. I'm like, well, I think it will. I can show you more. You can jump in with me if you want. And nah, that won't work for me. I just got to keep plugging it away. And then it's like, you start getting these little things like, man, you got really good genetics for this. You're doing really good. And it's like, yeah, no, I really don't. You saw me when I first came in. I don't have great genetics for it. I go, but the training's working, like getting my technique right, doing my flexibility, like working on my speed. It's all coming around and it's getting stronger. Yeah, that stuff don't work for me though. Okay. And then I had a couple of my training partners, one specifically, I actually had to bet him. He kept going, no, because he was like me. He was like, no one else is doing this, so why would I do it? And then even when I started getting that much better, he was still like, yeah, but it won't work for me. It won't work for me. And we set up a bet on his next competition and he lost. So he had to start training with me. Then I was fortunate that Ethan came out and he was training at the gym and he finally came over and started asking some questions and we started talking and, he came over going, hey, you're doing stuff I don't see anybody else doing. Why are you guys doing this? Like what, and I go, hey, I learned this from the best of the best. We're trying it. We're having really good results. We're getting a lot stronger. And, eventually he decided to start training with us and got a ton better. So I had my small group and everybody in my group is getting better and better and better. And, people in the gym are making 5 pound a year PRs. My guys are making 50, 100-pound PRs. And you could just kind of see how people like, oh yeah, well, they do their things. And I don't know, like just genetics. There was always like seemed to be some sort of reason why we were getting better and they weren't, but they weren't willing to try it. Where, and then you have, for me, I had my group. So my group, these guys understood it because I coached it. Like I didn't just tell them what to do. And going back to the one, these guys were vested and they were vested in what they wanted to achieve. They were vested in their goals. So they weren't just coming in and me telling them what to do. They had to understand it. They had to communicate with me. We had to keep good communication. So they understood it. So I always had like this little group with me. And then by this point, the better and better I got, the more I got to be around the top lifters who, if you sit down with a mid-level guy who will just keep giving you the, I won't work for me answers, or you go to the top guy and the top guys are like, huh, interesting. You're doing that? Wow, let me think about that. And they may go, yeah, I did try that one. It didn't really work for me, but what I did do is this. And then I'm going, oh, maybe I need to try that then. And there wasn't all this closed off mindset on the high level guys. There was this open mindset to listen to almost everything and think about it and then go, yes, this is worth trying, or no, this is not. And it's surprising how a lot of the top guys have trained so many different ways. Whereas a lot of these middle guys that don't want to try something new, they haven't trained every other way. Like I can say when I tell people, hey, I think you need to add in some more rest because you don't seem to be recovering. And, I know your nutrition's good and I know you're trying to get your sleep up. So maybe just add, a little more time to recover and man, your numbers should start bumping up. Nah, it won't work for me. It won't work for me. And I'm like, but have you tried it? And they're like, no, I just know. How do you just know? Like I can say, listen, I did train like you're training now. I have trained 7 days a week. I have trained for hours. Like I've done it. I've tried it. It didn't work. Now, there are some people it will work for. Like I said, there is not one program. If somebody comes to me and they have awesome recovery, man, and they're getting 9 hours of sleep and they're pounding their food and they're staying on their macros and they have a really good mindset throughout the day where they're not stressing out, I'm like, man, let's train as much as we can train you because we'll get stronger even faster. But that's really rare to find guys that can recover that awesome. So again, you have to find the individual and what does the individual need? What is their life like? And then try to optimize the program around the individual. That's why I like Conjugate. It's easy to manipulate. So, and then as I'm traveling and I start going to other gyms and you start finding all these people that want to they want to be around you for what you've achieved. So they can go, and I used to get this all the time. Oh, so-and-so said they train with you. And I'm like, who is it? And I'm like, yeah, no, we're at the same gym, but we've never trained together. I've never trained them. I might have given them some pointers here and there, some tips when they asked me, but I might have handed off to them or lifted off for them, but no, we haven't trained together. So you start getting people that just kind of like a fame kind of thing, I guess. I don't feel like I'm famous, but you start getting people that are like, they just want to say they know you. They want to be around you. They want to be able to like, hey, I met the strongest guy in the world, or I met this guy, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but I didn't really care for that. I didn't really care to have that around me all the time because I'm just Joe Schmo, Chad Ikes. I just like to lift heavy shit. I always had a lot more to my life than that. Like I would have almost more fun talking to somebody about photography than I would about lifting, because I could still learn a lot more about photography. But so you get those people around you, and then you start. There's this transformation where you go from like all these people and everybody fits in because you're there. Then you get to where you kind of have to start weeding people out, and people will push you away. And then you get to this level and you start meeting people that are of the same level and a similar mindset, and they have a much better understanding to the point of what you're going for. Even if you don't need to train for me, I understand what you're going for. I understand the sacrifices you're making. And so then you start getting surrounded with more people. And there was a time I've met a bunch of people that they'll start these groups. And a couple times a year, they all get together and meet, and it'll be like a bunch of dudes. They'll have a weekend somewhere. And I always kind of thought, man, what's up with that? That seems kind of weird to me. But now I understand it, that they're like businessmen or entrepreneurs or just people trying to work through their shit. And they want to have, there's a lot of people that don't want to work through their shit. And if you're working through your shit, then they feel bad for not working through their shit, and they'll end up pushing you away. So these entrepreneurs and these people, they know that it's important to be around like-minded people. So then they set these groups up and they do these trips to where they can connect with whatever their businesses are, and can we help each other out, and just to be able to sit down with a like-minded person who maybe is gotten to where you want to be, and you actually get to sit down and talk to him. And it's good for him because he likes mentoring other people to get where he is now. And it's just a really positive outlook thing. And I think that's where we're starting to do this on the internet. Like Elite FTS has a group like that. I can't remember what they call it now. I should look into starting something like that to get more like-minded people together, to where, if you go to a gym and you don't have people that are working on technique, and you don't have people that are actually critiquing stuff, but they're rah, it's really easy to get wrapped up in that and forget that, listen, this isn't really the right way if you want to be one of the best. And so even if you could have people like over an internet group or something like that, and hook up with other people that you can talk to every now and then, that reassure you're the one that's on the right path. Most of the people aren't. And it's the reason that there's the one percenters. There's only so few one percenters. I think there could be there's potential for a whole bunch of people to be way the hell better than they are. But most people don't want to push to that limit. Most people don't want to look at it. Most people get caught in that trap where even when they start getting better, that lonely period drops them back down, because at least then they have people. At least then they have friends. Okay, maybe I reverted on my alcoholism, but at least I'm at the bar and everybody's cool and they think I'm funny, and now I can drink with all them. Whereas when I separate myself, I get further away from people, because there's just going to be that time where you got to get further away and come back. Now, like I said, if you listen to the podcast with Nick Best, we did a while back, we actually talked about this. You can still have friends that maybe aren't pushing or driving to where you're at, but they have the self-security, the self-confidence to understand what you're doing, and they actually respect it. Some of my best friends, like a lot of lifters tend to hang out with other lifters. I always had other people in my life. I had a lot of lifter friends too, but I had people that didn't. Some people don't even exercise that I hang out with, and it was funny. My best friend, him and his wife, like when I was competing, we would actually go out and they'd be like, "Hey, do you want to go to hang out with at the bar?" I'm like, "Yeah, I really don't do that scene. Like, I got to train tomorrow. I don't want to hang out late." And they're like, "We'll just come for a little bit. You don't have to drink. Nobody cares." And like, they actually understood what I was doing, and they never tried to pressure me to do anything beyond what I needed to do for my lifting. And they used to always talk about how impressed they were with how dedicated I actually was. Because this is what a lot of people don't know about me, or a lot of people don't see. They just they see the lifting clips, or they see my social media. They don't see what I actually went through to become one of the best, and like what I sacrificed to do that. My friends actually saw that, and they're like, "Hey man, like going to the bar." They're like, "Well, dude, if you got to leave at 8:30, you got to leave at 8:30. That's cool. If you can hang out for a half hour, awesome." They totally understood it, and they never pressured me. They never pressured me to drink. They never pressured me to eat this. There was none of that. There was like, "Hey, Chad wants to be one of the best in the world. This is what he has to do." Cool. We think it's amazing that you're that dedicated. And that's so you don't have to have necessarily the people that are doing what you're doing, and you don't have to have the people that necessarily are striving to be the best in the world at anything, but you do need to at least have people around you that understand and respect what you're doing. So to get through that lonely phase, it's just a matter of finding the right people. It's just a matter of weeding the people out of your life, and a matter of understanding, hey, I might have a time where I'm alone. I might have a time where I just don't have that many people around me that understand me. But if I stay the course, and I don't freak out about that and I focus on where I'm going, it's going to happen. Like people will eventually, good people will get drawn to you that understand what you're doing and actually respect it. Like a person with self-confidence is going to want somebody like that around them. Like I don't care what the person is. I remember I was up at Kabuki and they were doing a lot of filming and stuff. And I did some interviews and I found out that the videographer had been a concert pianist. I don't know shit about playing the piano. I don't know shit about concert pianist, but he was apparently one of the best in the world at the time. I was fascinated. We did a couple of interviews and I think I kept him up for like 3 hours talking because I was just fascinated about that journey. How do you become that good? Where does it go? What happened that you're not doing that so much now? Like, but just the fact that somebody excelled to that level was fascinating to me. I want people around me that know how to accelerate to that level, that have done it. Doesn't matter in what. It just matters that person, there's a similarity in the drive to do that. And that's to me what's important. And those are the kind of people I want to have around me. Because then if I look around me, I don't look around me and go, man, everybody's drinking and partying, and I'm not doing that, which isn't that big a deal to me at this point. But or being around a bunch of people that overtrain and just beat the crap out of themselves and they're not doing as well as they could do. I don't want any of those people around me. I want to be around the people that actually really want to do it and really want to excel, so that even if I have a bad day, I go, man, look at what they're doing. Look at what they're doing. This is motivation for me to stay the course. This is motivation for me to keep going. And if you're having a bad day, you can talk to those guys. You can go, hey, having a bad day today, dude. Give me a word of wisdom. And they're usually more than happy to do that. So there's this point of the transitions. Everything in life is about transitions. Your life right now in this moment will never be like it is again. Something will always be different. It's the saying, you can dip your foot in the river, but it will never be in the same river ever again, because the river's always flowing. It's always different water. The rocks have always moved. The sand's always moved. The dirt's always moved. You dip your foot in the river one time and it's never going to be the same. Life's like that. This one moment will never be exactly the same. And that's a good thing. So if we can learn to adapt and create better moments all the time, that's going to create a better life. So when you start a journey, understand there's going to be different phases, and that's okay. Sometimes the phases may be harder. Sometimes it might even feel like you stepped back, but you didn't. It's just part of that phase to moving forward. And be really careful who you surround yourself with. Be really careful about the people you're around. And a lot of people will talk a big game, but are they really doing what they're saying they're doing? Are they really doing it with the level of intensity that they claim they're doing it to? This is another mistake. I have a lot of people that, or I see a lot of people that claim that they work so hard. But when I actually break it down and go, are you getting your sleep? No, you stayed up late playing video games. Okay. Are you getting your nutrition? Oh, no, you didn't have time. I didn't have time to get that nutrition in. Why didn't you have time? Because you didn't meal prep? Because you went out partying on the weekend? Okay. Yeah. Oh, your squats tonight looked horrible. Why weren't you focusing on technique and intent? Oh, you just really wanted to train really hard today. So you just lifting heavy weight is hard. You putting mental intent and working on your technique, that's not, you don't consider that hard. Then why didn't you do it if it's not hard? So you really got to kind of look at the people around you, and it's interesting. I wish everyone could spend some time with a really top athlete. I'm talking like top, like best in the world, like NFL starters, like Major League Baseball starters, Wimbledon tennis players, like the top 5 or 10% of power lifters, and actually spend some time in their life and see what they really do and what they really sacrifice, and how hard they really do train. Even businessmen, like the best businessmen in the world, and not where they're at now, not when they have billions of dollars. Like go back to where they were trying when they were trying to make it, and see how much effort they really put into their life, how much intent they put into their life. Because I don't think people really understand how much it is. And part of that is because it looks easy. People get so good at stuff, it looks easy. But I was thinking about this the other day when I was thinking about making this podcast. Like Michael Jordan, I heard at one point, like he didn't make the senior team or something like that when he was a junior. I don't know. There was something where he wasn't like a starter. And I go, but he came to be one of the best ever. And then there's like Brady. I heard Tom Brady wasn't very good when he was younger. And I've heard a lot of different stories where guys weren't that good when they were younger. And I go, this is the interesting part, is that people look at them and go, oh, they're so good. They're genetic freaks, man. They're just a level above. And it's like, no, they really weren't a level above. They're a level above now because of the work that they put in. And I guarantee you, Michael Jordan wasn't just trying to throw the ball at the hoop. I guarantee he was in there thinking about every detail, about every muscle, every movement, the arc on the ball. I'll bet he was in there looking at the complete breakdown technique of making a shot. When he was practicing his plyometrics, when he was lifting, I guarantee he was thinking about the whole thing, and he had full intent. It wasn't just about going through the motions. It wasn't just about sweating. It was thinking about the whole thing. So now I'm kind of getting off track a little bit, but the main point of this podcast was there is no one way, which means you're going to have to invest in yourself and have a coach. If you don't have to have a coach, but if you have a coach or a mentor, or you go to seminars, that person needs to invest in you as well. So you both need to invest in finding the one perfect program, the one nutrition for you. And more, I would say more than that, is finding the base principles that you can always fall back on. If you have a base of principles, no matter what happens, if things go wrong, you can always fall back to that base and go, wait a minute, where do we get off track? Let me go through all of my base things, see if I'm off here. And you're probably going to find your problem right there and get you right back on track. It's kind of the same thing with a business plan and a mission statement. If your business is going off track, go back to your original plans. Go back to your business statement, your original principles, and figure out where you went off, and you'll probably get right back on track. So the only one perfect program is the one that works for you. Don't feel like you need to get locked into what everyone else is doing. Don't feel like you need to go to the gym and everyone's doing 12-week linear periodization. That's what I have to do. No, I got caught in that trap, and I wasted a year or two probably doing that when I could have just went straight to a much better program. But that's what everyone was doing, and I didn't have the confidence. I was putting myself in that group, and I didn't have the confidence to break away. I didn't have the confidence to go, hey, I'm going to be alone. I'm out here on an island in Reno, but this island's going to take me where I want to go, instead of staying stagnant with what all these other people are doing. Then as you move forward, that breaking away, that moving to what's actually working, what's actually going to work for you, is going to separate you from people. There's going to be the people that are jealous that you're doing well, and they'll push themselves away. There's going to be the people that just don't have the self-confidence to try what you're trying, so they tend to want to push away because it reminds them that they don't have that self-confidence, which is crazy, because that guy probably would be more than happy, or girl would be more than happy, to take you along on the journey with them. Like the fact that I was able to build a team and guys were willing to learn, that actually helped me become better, because then they learned, they came up with ideas. We could bounce ideas off each other, and we raised all the ships. The tide raised. So you should never be afraid of that. If you see somebody that is going out on their own and they're doing good, man, talk to them. See what's going on. See what they're doing. Listen to them. Maybe they're just dying to have a training partner, and then you could help raise each other up, which is the whole funny part of this, is like, if people would just get together and communicate, everybody could raise everybody up. But everybody's so afraid of everyone else and wanting to be the big fish in the little pond. I don't understand it. So you're going to have these people with these issues that are going to push away from you. And you may push them away too, because you're like, hey, listen, I'm going here. You want to keep holding me back. You want to keep telling me it's not going to work. I know it's going to work. So shut up or get away from me. Well, that's not going to work. That's not how we do it, man. I've always done linear periodization. And I don't mean to bag on linear periodization. Linear periodization ran correctly is actually really good. That was just like my first one that I stuck to because everyone did it. But it turns out I wasn't executing it right. I was executing it like they were. So my path was to go to conjugate and start changing conjugate to what I needed, which again left me. I didn't even get to be with the conjugate group because I started changing it just to do my own thing, because I knew I needed to do what I needed to do for me. And then I was able to adapt that to meet each individual on the team. So just be aware that don't fuck hanging with everyone else, because even if you do get away from everyone else, the better and better you get, you're going to find more like-minded people that you actually want around you anyway. So you're going to end up, if you keep going through it, you're going to end up on the brighter side. You're going to end up on the better side. So just trust yourself, trust the journey, trust the process. Trust that you're going to have to walk through the shadow of the valley of death. But if you hold true and you hold your faith, you're going to come out to a much better place. Okay, going to wrap this one up now. Please comment, let me know. I am a little behind on my comments, but I will catch up. I save them all, and then hopefully I'll be able to get into them pretty quick and return everybody's comment. Please follow my Instagram, which is just Chad Ikes. Please check out Chad Ikes or CourageBarbell.com. Help with some apparel. Definitely check out the YouTube channel, which is Courage Barbell, which you might be watching this on, but this is also recorded for the podcast, which is on a bunch of different variations now. And I'm out.
Thanks for listening to the Courage Barbell Unlimited podcast. For more information, please visit CourageBarbell.com. Until next time.